guys, how's it going? And welcome back to KitchenTableMeta. So today I'm doing one of my mini product openings for Set 5 Miraculous Revival, which is going to be super cool. And in fact, it's my favorite piece of product being released in this set, and that is the Shenron Starter Deck, or the Shenron's Advent Starter Deck. It's going to be, honestly, if you guys haven't already, definitely pick up at least one of these, if not two. If you're at all interested in competitive play, having two of these is going to be a must. We'll talk about why in a second. Like I said, I always do these product openings and do a little bit of analysis to go along with it. So I'll talk a lot about the cards in here as well, and why you should definitely get your hands on them, or why they're good or why they're bad. But also just in general, even if you're not a competitive player and just a casual player, this leader is worth buying at least one of these. It's a fantastic leader, and honestly one of the best leaders released in the set. But also, special thanks to Pro Play Games for sending us not only the Shenron's Advent Starter Deck, but also the Gogeta Starter Deck as well to open up on YouTube. Really means a lot, guys. Thank you so much. Also, guys, if you haven't already, please stop by ppgeventmanagement.com and go check out their Pro Play Tour. This is a new piece of organized play that they're working on developing, and what's really cool is if you guys go to the website, right there on the homepage, just scroll down, you can vote on what city you want to, what city you want the Pro Play Tour to visit, which is insane. They're giving you the ability to vote where you want to show up. I think Texas is winning right now, which is really cool. I think maybe Dallas, Texas. But so cool. There's over 1,000 votes on there, so definitely go vote. It's really important because this Pro Play Tour is insane, guys. They're giving out cash prizes, over $2,000 cash prizes for not only Dragon Ball Super card game, but also Yu-Gi-Oh! And Card Fight Vanguard as well. We had a trial run that happened in Orlando, and it was super successful. We had tons of people show up, and like I said, the winner got over $2,000 and a big, sweet trophy as well. So definitely go give them some love and give them this report, because it's going to be insane how much this is going to do for our game. It's really important to to shout them out and give them as much love as you can. Also, if you guys haven't already, please stop by my draft box opening video. I'll have it up here. You guys can click on it. It's really important that you guys go there and comment, because the giveaway to win the Set 4 or this Series 4 promo pack or whatever, the tournament pack, is coming to an end. So whenever I do my Set 5 box opening, which should be this week, I'm going to announce the winner and then do the new giveaway. So just definitely, if you haven't already, just stop by there in the comment section, just leave a little comment on what I can do to improve my channel, and for your chance to win the promo packs. Like I said, guys, thank you all so much for the love and support. It's really mean a lot. So, all right, so let's get it here. Let's open up this bad boy. Like I said, my favorite one. I can't wait to open it up and talk about it. Also, something that's kind of cool is they just did this new thing with these starter decks where they have the side here labeled, and it looks pretty sweet, like on a bookshelf or whatever. If you have these all lined up, they look really cool. Like if you have the Gogeta one over here as well, like the SO6 or whatever, or SDO6, like they look really cool side by side. So I want to kind of point that out because it's something I noticed. I think it's only these starters that have that. Also, of course, you have your card lists and stuff on the back, and your little Shenron foot right there. All right, so let's open this bad boy out. Let's go over these cards. All right. Also, let me see if I can show you guys this, because this is something else they did that was new for the starter decks, which is really cool. They did this. So they gave you guys like a new battle mat or whatever to show you guys where like the battle areas and combo area and stuff, but it's themed for what leader you have. So like the Gogeta one is like a Gogeta one, and the Shenron one's a Shenron one. So it's really cool. If you guys like to use these, I know that these like aren't the best play mats. Obviously, they're just like pieces of paper, but I think it's really cool they went like the extra mile to do that. I think it's really cool. Also, guys, I hope you guys like this new format. Actually, the reason why this format is the way it is now is because you guys left comments that you wanted me to have more of the area exposed when I open up cards in the box open, in the draft box opening video. So please continue to leave me feedback, guys. A lot of these new things I've been doing with the channel are due to that feedback. So please always feel free to give me feedback in any video. I love the feedback. It definitely helps. All right, so first up, we have the Shenron leader. This is really cool. It starts out as the Dragon Ball leader. If you guys aren't familiar with how these new leaders work, I'm just going to briefly cover them. But they have a new mechanic called Wish, and that's how they awaken. So they don't awaken like other leaders where you have to have a certain amount of life and then you awaken them. They have this Wish mechanic, and what you have to do is you have to have 7 Dragon Balls in your drop area, and if you do, then you're allowed to essentially awaken. Now, what I want to do real quick is, obviously the starter deck comes with 7 of them, so I'm just going to show you these guys real quick. Here's the 7 Dragon Balls, and what these Dragon Balls do is you can play them. Sorry guys, I'm still coughing, by the way. My cough's like, it's been lasting for like 3 weeks. It's insane. But anyway, so these Dragon Balls, what they do is whenever you play them out, if your leader's a Shenron, which all the new leaders are a Shenron, they're either the Shenron, it should be Shenron slash whatever they are, but this leader is obviously just a Shenron leader. But if your leader is a Shenron, then you just draw a card, and this goes to the drop area. And if you have 7 of the Dragon Balls in the drop area, then you're allowed to awaken. Now, this is really, really powerful. Well, I guess I would say that it has the ability to be powerful for a couple of reasons. Like you can actually awaken like turn 1 if you want to, which is really, really cool. But once you awaken, all of the awakened wish leaders have these 3 things they can choose from. So they can either draw a card, they can choose 1 desire card, which are these extra cards that will say that permanent they have desire. You can play this for free out of your hand, which is insane. And then you can also use like, sorry guys, use what I call the ultimate. And the ultimate ability on this is, on Shenron, is that you can choose a card, a battle card, and give it plus 10,000 power and triple attack, meaning they can attack 3 times, which is insane. There's a lot of really cool combos with this. You can think of almost any card you could think of, and it's obviously getting plus 10,000 power and triple attack is insane. But in fact, this card's presence actually, they had to errata, they had a triple flash Goku because of this, and there's just so many powerful combos with this card, something we'll talk a lot about moving forward. But just for example, like you take 7-drop Beerus from set 1, right? That's a card that's, when it attacks, your opponent has to discard 2 cards. If you get attacked 3 times, your opponent has to discard, 6 cards, has the ability to get their entire, energy and battlefield wiped, and they have to defend a 35k triple striker 3 times in a row. So if you could just imagine all the crazy combos that this card gives you, it's insane. But yeah, so this is the new leader type. It's really, really cool. Now, what Shenron gets to do on the front side, it's very unique to the other wish leaders, is that he can attack, which is a pretty big downside, but he more than makes up for it from his ultimate ability on the backside and his front side ability, which allows him to go to rest mode, and then you can search either your life or your your deck for 2 Dragon Balls, and then put them in your hand. That's insane because it gives him a very consistent way to awaken, where most of the other wish leaders can only usually get 1 Dragon Ball from their life or deck. Shenron allows you to get both. Now, it is important to remember that with this ability, and this is something people kind of miss up a little bit, is that you're allowed to look at both your life and your deck. So you can look through your life, and if there's only 1 Dragon Ball in your life, you can just take that and then go to your deck and search out the 2nd Dragon Ball, which is really, really important, and that's something I see a lot of people mess up on. So that's the leader for the starter deck. Like I said, this leader is a fantastic leader. Expect to see people playing a bunch of different versions of this deck at Nationals. In fact, we have a Shenron Veggies deck profile brewing that I did on Workshop Wednesday number 2, and I'll have the deck profile up very soon on that as well. Okay, so now here's the card that is Big Daddy 4-drop Shenron. And this is the card that you guys it's essentially the whole reason to buy this starter deck. It's the reason why you guys need to buy 2 of this. If you haven't seen this card, this is probably one of, if not the best card released in this new set. It's the 4-drop Shenron. This is a black card, so it costs no certain type of energy to play it out. And it also can attack. So it's very similar to the Shenron leader where it can attack. However, what you can do is that if this card has Sparking 5, which means that there's 5 cards in your drop, which is very easy to achieve, especially if you're playing a wish leader. It allows you to active main, draw a card, and then choose one of these 3 things. Now, the first one is you can choose 2 of your energy and put them in active mode, which is insane for like Soul Striker Goku or Golden Frieza. The next one is choose one of your battle cards that costs 2 or less from your drop area and just play it, put it into play. Now, that's fantastic. There's a lot of ways to abuse this. One of them is from the energy producing Kai. I'll put her picture up here. So I think it's like east or west. I always get them all mixed up. But also you can use it just for your super combos, for example. You can just bring a super combo back, which is fantastic as well. And then you can combo with that super combo from the battle area to still be able to draw from it. And then finally, you can just give one of your battle cards or leaders plus 5k in critical, which is insane. That's for the turn too, so it stacks with some other stuff. So for example, if you're using like the new Gohan wish leader, you can give him 5k in critical, and then if you can continue to let him attack, he'll continue to keep that 5k in critical as well, which is really, really powerful. But this card is just fantastic. It's splashable in every single deck, which is super, super insane. And it's one of the first cards that we've had in the game where if this card survives when you untap, it just gets so much more powerful. So it's very, very possible, to play this card out, and then if it survives, really be able to take advantage of it, which is just fantastic. Also, decks like Soul Striker love this card. We talked a little bit about before, but on your turn 4, it's possible if you're awakened to play this card out, ready 2 energy, attack with your leader, ready 2 more energy, and then play another one out, ready 2 more energy. It's insane. It gets out of control very quickly, and you can definitely chain these out very quickly. And then if they survive, like I said, you just have very powerful explosive turns because of it. So like I said, make sure you get 4 of these. You only get 2 in the starter deck, unfortunately. But like I said, just definitely worth getting multiple starter decks for this card because this card is bananas. Okay, next up we have Dimensional Warrior Sun Goku. This is a double strike barrier sparking 7. So again, just like Shenron, you have to have 7 cards in your drop. And then if you do, it says when you play this card, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and send it to the owner's warp. So it's a little piece of removal, which is really cool. Again, it's splashable, so it's very possible to play this in any deck, which makes this card really good. Also, it has double strike and barrier, meaning it's very hard to remove from the field, and it also puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. So again, very, very good card in this deck. If you're not if you're not running Overwhelm, it's very hard to run Overwhelm with these Wish Leaders, which is something I probably should have talked about a little bit at the beginning. But these Wish Leaders, it's actually really hard to run Overwhelm because you don't want to get rid of your Dragon Balls, right? Your Dragon Balls have to stay in the drop in order for you to remove them all and awaken. So cards like this that actually give you removal based off sparking, meaning that you have to have 7 cards in your drop, are very valuable in decks. So essentially, gone is the days where you have to have Overwhelm in every deck. Instead, you have to choose, does your deck want to be a sparking deck, or does your deck want to be an Overwhelm deck? And in decks that want to be a sparking deck, this is a very good piece of removal for those decks. So definitely keep your eyes out on Mr. Sun Goku. Next up, another starter exclusive deck card here is Vegeta Returned from Darkness. So this is a critical bursting 5. Now what burst is to do this auto, you must put 5 cards from the top of your deck in your drop. Now, this is a little piece of the ruling here. You can actually choose to not do this auto, right? So you can say, I'll play this card out. The burst triggers, I choose not to burst any. And then if you do that, you would just skip this auto. So essentially, burst makes all the autos conditional. Like you don't have to do them. It's really important on some of them, but for this one, it says when you play this card, if your opponent has 11 or more cards in hand, your opponent chooses cards from their hand and sends them to their warp until they have 10 cards in hand. Now, this card's really, really good because, I want to say it's really good, but it's definitely, the good things about this card is it's a 3-drop, 19,000 critical attacker. That's just good in its own. So having something else that does is great. It also fuels your sparking, which can be important in some decks. Again, in Shenron, you're not really going to have problems getting your sparking, but again, in some decks, it could matter. Now, the big problem I have with this card and why I think it's going to keep this card from seeing a lot of play is the fact that, your opponent having 11 cards in hand isn't that... while it's very possible for your opponent to have 11 cards in hand, a lot of decks do it. Hercule, Harudagon, and just there's a lot of ways to draw cards. The biggest problem I have with this is really easy for your opponents to play around this. They'll just keep 10 cards in hand, and they'll just play around this card. It's very, very easy to play around. It doesn't really punish your opponent enough for having more than 10 cards in hand. So in fact, most of the time when people have more than 10 cards in hand, they usually have like 12 to 13. So they're only really discarding 3 cards, which, don't get me wrong, is very powerful, especially since the cards go to warp. But I just think it's too... it's not punishing enough for what it does. Bursting 5 is a huge, huge downside. The fact that it could, take really good cards off the top of your deck and put them in the drop is huge. So keep that in mind. I don't think this card punishes you enough to see this card, for the card to see a lot of play. Next up is the last starter deck exclusive, and that is Mega Focus Sun Goku. Now, this little dude here is pretty cool. He has active made once per turn, burst 3. Again, take 3 cards, put them in your drop. It says for the duration of the turn, this card gains plus 5,000 power and can attack battle cards in active mode. This card is actually really, really neat. I can see this card being splashed in some decks, especially sparking decks that want to get to their sparking very quickly. And he's actually a pretty decent little dude. Like I said, he goes from 10k to 15k and can attack active battle cards, which is really, really important. Again, cards like Shenron, for example, are very weak to cards that can attack into them because they're never going to be in rest mode because they can't attack. So cards like this are going to have a little bit more value because of that. Obviously, 15k is going to make it very limited on the cards it can kill, but still for 2, this is actually a pretty decent little card. All right, next up is the non-starter exclusive deck cards. We're going to go through these pretty quickly. First up is 3 Sun Goku 1-drops. Again, pretty cool. A little 1-drop Goku, but nothing really too much to talk about. Next up is 2 Yamcha. This card's actually really cool. When I use it in my Earthling deck, again, it's another deck that you will see a deck profile come up very soon. And I use this with the Trunks Overwhelm card to essentially find this card and give it critical, which is super powerful, especially if you can get this card out, give it critical, and then use Chompa on it. So it's a 30k double striking crit on turn 2. It's very easy to do, and this card's actually a lot better than I thought it would be. So again, on the surface, not that great, but in the right deck, actually isn't too bad of a card. Next up is Pure Best Pal. And what this guy does is he allows you to, it says when you combo with this card from the battle area, you may add 1 card from your life to your hand. If you do, choose up to 1 card. And then it has like these, I don't know if you guys can see it in there, but it has like these really weird brackets when it says Yamcha. Now, what's really important to remember with those brackets, and this is something Casey helped us out with, it's actually talked about the card title. So you actually have to get this card with this card because this is the only card currently in the game that's labeled this. So what happens is that you have to essentially take a life, put this guy on the drop, and then you can go get this card. It's just not good enough. Now, if you can go get any Yamcha, there's a lot of really good Yamchas in this set. But unfortunately, you just have to get the vanilla, and it's just not good enough. Poor Pure. Almost good enough, but not quite there. Next up, you get 4 Scheming Oolong. Says when you play this card, if your leader card is a Shenron card and Oolong's Wish is in your drop area, draw 2 cards. Pretty cool. Now, we'll talk about Oolong's Wish right here, which is one of the Desire cards. Now, what this Desire card does, why does this keep on the turn? What the heck? It says if your leader card is Shenron, draw 1 card, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards. It gains minus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Pretty neat little wish. But honestly, one of the weaker wishes. But what's really cool is Oolong makes this somewhat viable, where if this is in your drop, you play this guy out, you can draw 2 cards. Like I said, pretty neat interaction, but honestly, I don't think you're going to see too many decks run this guy. Minus 5,000 power, though, is pretty good. Like I said, using that with our Goku that we talked about would allow you to put pressure on the Shenrons, for example, the 4-drop Shenron. So there's some cool interactions with this, but in most of the decks that we've been brewing with Shenron, we see it being more of taking advantage of the bigger Desire cards that kind of let you cheat cards into play from your drop. And honestly, these Wish Leaders decks are pretty limited on space anyway, because 7 slots have to be dedicated to Shenrons that have been Dragon Balls. So you have to be really careful with using kind of situational cards like that. Next up, we have Dragon Ball Seeker Bulma. It says once per turn, active main once per turn, choose up to 1 Dragon Ball card from your deck and place it in your drop area, then shuffle your deck. Bulma is a great way for you to get those Dragon Balls if you're playing a, I guess a non-Shenron Wish Leader. But Shenron's just ability allows you to search out Dragon Balls so fast that I found that Bulma not being needed. Now, the other Wish Leaders do require, you only get like 1 every time, so this card is definitely a lot better in those decks. However, the big problem I have with these cards is it puts the Dragon Ball in the drop area, which is fine. That's where you need them to be to awaken anyway. But I really like getting the Dragon Balls in my hand and getting that draw off them. It just really makes them feel a lot more powerful. So it's an okay card if you really need to quickly awaken with the Wish Leaders, but try to find a way to get them in your hand instead and quickly awaken that way. And I think you can find a lot better 1-drops than Bulma. Next up is 4 of Kami, Global Unifier. This guy is insane. It's our 1-cost 3,000 deflect auto. When you play this card, draw 1 card, so it's your black boo. And it says active main 2, so 2 energy. If your opponent has 4 or more battle cards in play, choose all of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 4 or less, ignoring barrier, and KO them. This guy's insane, and honestly, aggro decks have to play a lot differently because this card exists. It's very possible if the aggro player plays too many cards out, you just play this guy out, pay 2, and then kill their whole board, which is insane. So make sure that if you're playing aggro to play around this guy, and if you're not playing aggro, always put a couple of these in your sideboard or even main board if you can. It's just a great way to kind of nullify aggro's big board, and it's just a great addition to the game. Love this card. It definitely isn't as powerful as what we originally thought. Playtesting shows that a lot of decks, if you play this out on 3, for example, and then pay 2 to kill everything, then you're tapped out, and a lot of times the aggro player would just kill you in response. So be really careful when you play this, but using in the right deck in the right time, this card is just insane. Next up, we have your super combos for the Wish leader. So these guys are actually pretty insane. Now it does everything that the normal super combo does if you have, but except if you have Sparking 5. So you have 5 cards in the drop, which by the way is extremely easy to do. Then you draw a card. Something really important to remember is that these cards get plus 10,000 power without having to have their effect matched. So even if you have 8 life, no cards and drop, you can still, it's still a 0 plus 10,000. So that's really, really cool and something these new super combos do, making these one of the best super combos in the game. This guy's also a saying, which is really important as well. It's very good in a lot of different decks. So one of the best new super combos released, not only because it works with Wish leaders, but just because it's very easy to search out because it's a Saiyan and it also just gets the 0 plus 10,000 no matter what. So really, really, really cool. I love this guy a lot. He's so neat. But do remember, I do want to a comment that this guy, you have to do this with a black leader. This doesn't work with just every leader like some of the other black super combos do. All right, and then we have 4 power bursts. So this is the new negate, which is it has 1 cost, counterattack, permanent, sparking 5. If you have 5 cards in your drop, remember you can play this counter skill from your hand by adding a card from your life to your hand instead of paying for its cost, which is really cool. It means you can be tapped out completely and take a life and still counter this. Now, be really careful when you use this because obviously if someone's attacking you with a single striker, you don't want to use this against them because you know, if you take a life, then it's just like they would have hit you anyway. What this is really good against is against double strikers and triple strikers that are trying to finish the game. So keep that in mind. While I feel like a lot of people I've seen on Octagon and other places I play have used this against me. It took a life and I'm just attacking with a single striker or even my leader. Now, it can be good to do that in case you're trying to maybe stop them from using Sensu Bean or something to read their energy. There are times where it's still fine, but keep in mind that that is something that you really, really want to you know, watch out for. Also, if your leader's black and you negate the card with this, you can choose 1 black battle card from your drop area and send it to the warp. And if you do, you can add this card back to your hand, which is super, super cool and lets us kind of continue to recur, which is super, super good. So this is actually a pretty decent negate. I don't see players running very many of them, maybe 1 or 2 in the deck, but it's still really cool. And then finally, we have the World Peace. Now this is one of the best Desire cards available in the sets. It's essentially, again, it's Desire, so you can play it off your leader. Also, something I didn't mention about the new Wish leaders, when they awaken, they can choose a Desire card from their drop and put it in their hand, which is super powerful as well. It's probably not going to be this card, but it's still really, really cool. So what this does is, it says if your leader is a Shenron card, choose 1 battle card in your drop with an energy cost less than or equal to your current energy and play it. Now, this is so cool because since you can play this free off of the Awaken Wish leader side, that means if you have 5 energy, you can play a 5 energy card from your drop for free, which is insane. It leads to so many crazy combos. Like I said, we'll have a Shenron leader deck profile up on the list, and we'll also have gameplay videos up as well, so you can see this card being used. But it's just insane. The stuff you can do with this card is just nuts. The options are limitless. So, all right, guys. So that is the Shenron Advent starter deck, guys. Please, like I said, if you haven't, go get you a set of these. We'll get you 2 of these. It's definitely necessary. A lot of these cards in here are great, but like I said, this guy right here is going to be meta defining and really, really important to make sure you get your hands on at least 2 of those. So guys, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out our first product opening video. I'll be back. It'll be probably released almost the exact same time. I'll be doing the Gogeta starter deck as well. So guys, thank you again so much for being here. Thank you so much for the love and support and all the feedback and ways to make the channel better. Like I said, continue it up. The product openings is still something I'm trying to work on and do better on. So definitely let me know what I can do to make them better. Love you guys so much, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.